Hey, this is Notser, and this is the Tier 8 Japanese destroyer, Akizuki. She has 20,400 health, a top speed of 34.6 knots, 8 100mm guns, 4 torpedoes, a surface detect of 5.9 kilometers, and 52 AA defense rating. For my modules, reduced crit chance on main armament, improved aiming accuracy, reduced crit chance on propulsion, improved propulsion, concealment. For my commander, preventative maintenance, last stand, superintendent, inertia fuse, high explosive, and concealment again. We're on the map Northern Lights, or Northern Winter, or Northern whatever. And we're in the Akizuki. This is a requested ship to test for 0.6.3 because, quite frankly, it has probably been the most nerfed. Now, as many people understand with the Akizuki, if you're not caught up to what the Akizuki is, it's basically a Soviet gunboat style ship for the Japanese, but it has sort of the Japanese maneuverability and speed characteristics. It's basically 10 knots slower than every Soviet destroyer in the same sort of gunship category. It turns like a brick, and, well, you gotta rely on concealment and smoking in order to be successful. So in this particular game, I noticed that there was a Neptune pushing forward, and I pulled back. And you might have seen my build. I don't have advanced firing training. That is the base range of the guns. Now, with 6.3, it's suspect whether it's good all the time. You can't just blindly say that having better gun range is good, because that also means it's increasing your detection range, which is bad. But at least you don't have to go advanced firing training to get the kind of range you want. Now, I moved forward a little bit too quick. The Neptune died out, thankfully, and I think the Neptune is the target that used some sort of hydroacoustic, and we see an enemy Z40 or Z52. And I'm going, oh no, why did you show up as the Neptune died? He's going to use his hydroacoustic, which is really good. It's basically the Hindenburg hydroacoustic, so good luck getting out of range. You gotta get 6 or 7 kilometers away. And I'm in a sluggish Akizuki. I mean, really sluggish, so this is so awkward. Popping your smoke means nothing. Just trying to get range. So, 0.6.3 took away stealth firing. Previously, a build that most people would try and go in the Akizuki is something like advanced firing training, concealment, inertia fuse, high explosive, and then everything else up to that point. Why inertia fuse? 100mm gun, pretty crappy damage, a lot of failure to do any damage with HE, so you want to improve that. It drops your HE, well, you're going to try and want to pick up maybe Demolition Expert. But now that 6.3 is out, you can't really afford to fire your gun and have a 3 to 4 or 5 kilometer range stealth fire window. That doesn't exist any longer. You've got to rely on smoke, pretty much, in order to do anything. So I picked up Superintendent to have another charge. I felt like I would just spam use it. The only reason I'm not using smoke right now is because I have a dirty German spotting me with his hydroacoustic. Doesn't it feel great, German? So we're just getting out of his range. That's really all you can do. Don't commit to smoking under radar or hydroacoustic. We know the drill. So the Germans, well, at least the Z52, it seems to work pretty well, honestly. I wouldn't really complain about it. Not as well as the Soviet destroyers, but let's face it, they're probably going to get nerfed. I read some of the Q&A, and I just couldn't believe the Q&A. The Q&A is like, oh yeah, we don't see this as a nerf. On what planet is this not a reduction in power for people who could take advantage of it? Really? I mean, the whole reason you took it out of the game is you felt like it was sort of cheesy. It didn't make any sense. It gave power to scenarios that shouldn't exist. Nobody in the history of naval warfare has fired on a target and probably not announced their presence to that target. You know, at least in this time frame. Obviously, you could do stealthy stuff or submarine. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about a great big battleship firing great big guns. You're probably going to be seen. If you're not seeing your aircraft, your support staff, whatever, the battleship is big. So that's what we need to understand and keep in mind as I scrape the Izmo. It does make sense that they would take the mechanic out of the game, What doesn't make sense is they don't compensate for the adjustment, other than giving a little bit of range to the Akizuki. It's great, I don't need to use advanced firing training. I think the range was like 9.8. Same exact build, 9.8. You would need to get it advanced firing training. So it made your level 4 skills really heavy. So this might allow you to get more opportunities, maybe basic firing training, maybe the demolition expert, you know, fill her out quicker and find more success that way. I think she's going to get buffed. I think the Akizuki's going to get buffed. The reason I think that is it's just too slow. It turns too slow. There are so many aspects of it that are so mediocre when you're seen. You know, when it was designed, they knew it had this massive stealth fire window, and they wanted to encourage it, quite honestly. But now, taking it away, they want to discourage it, yet not provide any compensation. So I think there's going to be a 2 to 3 patch delay between the Japanese destroyers, and specifically the Akizuki, and perhaps the American destroyers receiving the justified buff to whatever system they want to. Better torpedoes, better maneuverability, better speed, whatever could be the solution, they're going to give it to those classes because they just give up too much. They're just giving up too much to the Soviets. The Germans are giving up, but they have that weapon bloom that they really aren't getting rid of, so they're getting a buff, right? But it's not enough to keep them on the same level as the Soviet destroyers, let's face it. So, I'm just engaging the enemy. I'm using my smoke. Definitely make use of the smoke setting in your user interface. I think it's called like display smoke timer. And this is the only location it can be displayed on. I believe there are mods with better locations or more useful information. It seems fine to me. I've always been played in vanilla, and so anyone who's playing the game could take advantage of everything you see. You don't have to go look for a mod. You could really just watch the video, turn on a setting, and then go and see what it's adding to the game. That's the way I saw it. So we're just trying to engage Yamato. We know we have about 20 seconds to go. Switching between HE and AP, depending on his angle, and it's pretty nice that he's not interested in firing at my location at all. I believe he is aware, and he's getting teammates to help, but they're not going to help him. Now, one aspect of the smoke timer that you need to keep in mind is that it will tell you the time of the first smoke puff to be laid. If you puff more than one smoke area, it will have sort of a hidden timer behind that should flash on the screen. So you need to sort of confirm, based on playing, knowledge, all that stuff, that it is giving you the timer for the right smoke cloud. You don't want to bail too early, but obviously you don't want to bail too late. That would be bad too. Right, Notser? Yeah. So the game, 92,000. We got a couple torpedoes on the Neptune, luckily. I was able to avoid dying to the Z-52, but quite frankly, his guns are not very impressive, and it was just him on the flank. Worked our damage on the Yamato, who seemed to be scraping up against the island as best as he could. And a little bit of chip damage incoming to the Bismarck, at least that's the plan. So the Akizuki, it's definitely can function. It's just going to be the most punished ship in the game, I think, because it's probably the quintessential stealth fire ship. Because it could stealth fire, and because it could stealth fire so effectively, they had to nerf everything else about it. Turn radius, speed, rudder response time, all that stuff really sacrificed for this 4 to 5 to 6 kilometer range stealth fire. After getting advanced firing training and concealment and all the concealment you could get, the module, all that stuff, that's what you would get. So, I'm worried. I am worried that the power is just going to drop across the board, except for the Soviet destroyers. They might even increase in power because there's really no competition for them other than other Soviet destroyers. I will find an example. The next game is going to be me and a Soviet destroyer with the exact same setup, and I'm going to explore exactly why I think the Soviet destroyers are so effective, because, you know, they don't need to pay attention to these spotting mechanics. Now, they can't be the last target spotted, right? They sacrifice concealment for maneuverability, but the guns are lasers, and that doesn't matter. That doesn't matter at all. It matters here. This ship can be outrun by battleships if you have the right setup with your flags. It's kind of embarrassing. Now, I also have the benefit of speed boost, plus I think I'm running the speed flag. So there's no battleship that can go 37 or 36. But 34? Oh yeah, Iowa can reach it. Iowa can definitely reach it. I think the Montana has the exact same speed characteristics, and you might say, "Oh, Notser, why are you firing again? It's so punishing." I felt like the torpedo, combined with my teammates, we could kill the target before his secondaries got out of hand. He is a Bismarck and an NBA fan, and of course he dies. I'm sure that's exactly what he was, an NBA fan. And look at who is in the southern flank, the Kagero. Interesting. I wonder how he got there. Did he go all the way around to D, south of C, and then come over to the eastern side of the friendly aircraft carrier? I don't know. Not my problem. My problem is killing the enemy aircraft carrier, who is in the northeast side of the map. It would be a just reward for this game, and I don't know if you saw it, but someone said that I'm an idiot. I have done 95,000 points of damage, captured bases, defended them, helped with the flank. I am not an idiot. I don't understand why people do that in multiplayer games. It's just like, ugh. So any second now. Oh, we've got a little bit of a tell. We've got fighters moving off from the northeast side. Oh, okay. More tell. We're getting closer, I think. Very close. And at this point, I'm like, oh, my aircraft AA is still up. Maybe I should turn that off, especially how close that fighter gets. So I'm going to be pressing that button. Press that button. Press that button. And yeah, you could just see it's real obvious that the enemy aircraft carrier is in the corner, and we're not going to give him a chance. I'm sure he's aware. He's like, oh, there's a destroyer out here. But it doesn't matter. Now, initially, I was firing HE, and probably shouldn't do that, Notser, because HE is not very good. Not very good. Especially with the angling, hitting the deck. The deck's pretty protected from it. I need to really swap to AP. And eventually I do that. And now we should be doing good damage. If we hit just right, great damage. And, oh, really great damage. Just eating away at his health. And I was like, no mercy. Hold on to the torpedoes until the very last second. Now he's turning towards me on his bow, and I try and get 1 or 2 shots on the bow with AP. Not gonna happen. Just not gonna happen. It's kind of insane. So we fire HE for a little bit. Gonna send my torpedo. He's coming out of a turn. He's gonna speed up, and then I'm gonna swap to AP, and we're gonna try for some citadels. Yeah, I think it's low enough. I'm just obviously sending an extra set, but we do good damage. We kill off the enemy aircraft carrier. The enemy Kagero is still alive, but the game's over. 150,000, 4 torpedo strikes. 4 torpedo strikes is an extreme number for the Akizuki. That's just not a normal game. So let's subtract probably 90,000 damage. We did 60,000 in the Akizuki with its guns. My demo is really crappy. I think I have like 2 or 3% chance to light the target on fire. If I can get Demolition Expert, she's going to go up way in power. But 150, not too bad. 2 kills, 2,553 base XP. By the way, the guy, he called me an idiot. He's second to last on my team. Great guy. 71,000 in main battery. 59,000 in torpedoes. It's a solid game, but she's sluggish. She's punished hard. Very dangerous to play. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you have a fantastic day, and I'll catch you next time.